Andrew Cunanan, a report. Was it jealousy, fame, or something darker? Trying to understand what made Andrew Cunanan snap requires looking into the life of a man who seemed to have it all, yet left a trail of death across America. Andrew Philip Cunanan arrived in the world on August 31st, 1969, in National City, California. He was the last of 4 children born to Modesto Cunanan, a Navy man turned stockbroker, and Marion Shalassie, a homemaker. From early on, Andrew showed remarkable intelligence, scoring very high on IQ tests. He attended a private school, the Bishop School, in La Jolla, known for its wealthy students. People found him charming, chatty, and very social. He seemed eager to fit in, often spinning tales about his family's money and influence, stories that weren't true. He developed expensive tastes, wanting a life among the rich and famous. He was open about being gay early in his life. A major upset came in 1988 when his father, Modesto, ran away to the Philippines to avoid charges for stealing money. This left the family broke and hit Andrew hard, shattering the successful image he tried so hard to maintain. Andrew went to college for a bit, studying history at the University of California, San Diego, but didn't finish. He moved to San Francisco's Castro district. There, he connected with older, well-off gay men who supported him, paying for his fancy lifestyle. He was like a chameleon, changing his personality to suit whoever he was with. Yet, beneath the surface, trouble brewed. Reports surfaced of small crimes, drug-taking, and behavior that grew stranger as his relationships failed and the money started to dry up. Then came the spring of 1997. The charm vanished, replaced by deadly violence. The man who desperately wanted acceptance began a cross-country killing spree. The killing started in Minneapolis, Minnesota. On April 27th, Andrew visited Jeffrey Trail, a former Navy officer he knew from San Diego. Inside the apartment of another acquaintance, David Madsen, Cunanan beat Trail to death with a hammer. Trail's body was found rolled up in a carpet. David Madsen, an architect who had once dated Cunanan, was next. After Trail's murder in his apartment, Madsen and Cunanan were seen together for a few days. What happened between them is unknown. On May 3rd, Madsen's body was discovered near a lake outside Rush City, Minnesota. He had been shot several times with Cunanan's pistol. Cunanan took Madsen's Jeep and drove to Chicago. There, on May 4th, he entered the home of Lee Miglin, a 72-year-old respected property developer. Miglin suffered a terrible death in his own garage, tied up, stabbed with garden tools, his throat cut, and beaten. Cunanan stole Miglin's car, a Lexus, and some money. Did Cunanan know Miglin before? No one is certain. Some guess they might have had some arrangement. Others think Miglin was just a target who represented the wealth Cunanan either desperately wanted or deeply hated. Now driving the stolen Lexus, Cunanan headed east. On May 9th, in Pennsville Township, New Jersey, he needed a different car. He found William Reese, a 45-year-old caretaker working at Finns Point National Cemetery. Cunanan shot Reese dead and took his red pickup truck, leaving the Lexus behind. Reese seemed purely a victim of bad luck, killed only for his vehicle. Cunanan drove the red pickup south to Miami Beach, Florida. He lived there quietly for about 2 months. On the morning of July 15th, the spree reached its shocking climax. Gianni Versace, the 50-year-old world-renowned fashion designer, was returning to his Ocean Drive mansion, Casa Casuarina, after buying magazines. Cunanan walked up to him on the mansion steps and shot him twice in the head with the same pistol used on Madsen and Reese. People saw Cunanan run away. Killing Lee Miglin had put Cunanan on the FBI's 10 most wanted fugitives list back in June. The hunt intensified. Catching him proved difficult. He changed his looks, used fake names, and seemed to disappear into crowds. He had money, likely taken from his victims, and showed skill in avoiding capture. Versace's murder turned the search into a global media event. Police felt enormous pressure to find Cunanan, now seen as incredibly dangerous. Tips flooded in. Authorities located the stolen red pickup truck in a Miami Beach parking garage not long after Versace was killed. Inside, they found clothes and other items belonging to Cunanan. 8 days after Versace's death, on July 23, 1997, the search ended abruptly. A caretaker looking after a luxury houseboat moored about 2 miles from Versace's mansion heard a gunshot inside. Police surrounded the boat. After waiting for hours, they went in. They found Andrew Cunanan dead. He had shot himself in the head with the same gun he used to kill Madsen, Reese, and Versace. He left no note, no message explaining his actions. So, why did Andrew Cunanan kill? Was it jealousy, fame, or something darker still? Since he never explained himself, people can only guess. Some think he lashed out from a deep sense of rejection or feeling slighted. He desperately wanted status and acceptance. Perhaps perceived failures sent him into a rage. The killings could have been revenge against people or symbols of a life he felt he deserved but couldn't keep. Maybe he wanted to be famous, even if it was for terrible deeds. He was known for his vanity. Killing someone as famous as Versace guaranteed worldwide attention. Perhaps it was simply about money. As his benefactors left and his cash ran low, killing, especially Mig Lin, gave him temporary funds and transportation. His personality offers clues. Many experts see signs of extreme self-centeredness and a complete lack of feeling for others. These traits, feeling superior, being manipulative, thinking he deserved everything, and turning violent when frustrated, paint a picture of a deeply disturbed mind. This something darker might lie in a profound personality disorder, a fractured psyche unable to cope with perceived slights or the crumbling of his fabricated world. One popular idea at the time was that Cunanan had learned he was HIV positive and went on a revenge spree. A medical exam after his death showed this wasn't true. He was HIV negative. Fear about the illness might still have played a part in his thinking, but it wasn't the direct biological trigger some imagined. The first 2 murders, Trail and Madsen, likely grew out of tangled personal histories, jealousy, control, anger over some betrayal. His link to Mig Lin remains fuzzy. Why Versace? Maybe they had met briefly before, though Versace's family denies this. Or perhaps Versace was simply the ultimate symbol of the glamorous world Cunanan felt shut out from, the ultimate target for his rage and desire for infamy. The Cunanan case gripped the public. The media coverage was intense, bringing up questions about fame, money, sexuality, and how police operate. His story continues to fascinate, explored in books, documentaries, and television series. Yet, because Cunanan took his secrets with him, key details about his interactions with his victims and his final thoughts are lost forever. Cunanan's 1997 rampage was a horrifying chain of violence that crossed the country and ended a celebrated life on the steps of a Miami mansion. He presented a bright, charming face to the world, hiding deep insecurity, anger, and serious mental troubles. His motives died with him on that houseboat, leaving behind a trail of sorrow and questions that linger still. The search for what truly made him snap continues. The focus should be on the victims of Andrew Cunanan, not his reasons. Their lives show the true tragedy. Jeffrey Trail was building a life after the Navy in Minneapolis. A supposed friend betrayed him. He was lured and then killed violently in someone's apartment. His death was not part of some plan. It was the brutal end of a good life, leaving his loved ones in shock and grief over the betrayal. David Madsen, a talented architect with his own life, became involved after Jeff Trail was killed in his home. It's unclear if he was held against his will or went with Cunanan for a while, but he was killed by the lake, shot many times. His death shows the terror of being trapped with a dangerous killer. His potential, relationships, and future were all lost. Lee Mig Lin, a successful 72-year-old in real estate, a husband and a father, was tortured and killed in his Chicago home. For him, the attack was likely random, scary, and made no sense. His safe place was invaded by a stranger. Because there was no clear link between them, his murder seems even more pointless, taking a father from his family and a respected person from his community. William Reese, a 45-year-old cemetery worker, was just doing his job in New Jersey. He unfortunately crossed Cunanan's path at the worst time. He wasn't targeted for who he was, but for what he had, a vehicle. He was killed simply for convenience, showing Cunanan's total lack of regard for human life when it got in his way. His death left his family without him, a man lost to senseless violence. Gianni Versace, a famous icon and creative genius, was killed in broad daylight on the steps of his Miami Beach home. His fame might have given Cunanan the attention he wanted, but for Versace, it was a sudden, violent end to a life full of success and influence. He was shot on his way back from a simple morning task, a public killing that took his talent from the world and his presence from his family and friends. The victims and their families experienced terrible loss. Cunanan's reasons don't matter as much as what happened to them. They were individuals with lives, loves, hopes, and dreams. Cunanan's actions, no matter why he did them, brought them terror, violence, and death. They faced the harsh reality of his choices, betrayal, fear, suffering, and ultimately, the end of their lives. Their stories are not about Cunanan, but about their lives tragically cut short by him. The focus stays on the huge, permanent loss they suffered and the lasting sadness of those they left behind.